Welcome back. We're here to talk about Sunday's Premier League match between Southampton and Bournemouth. South Coast derby, Pascal. We'll start with the home side. 1-1 against Liverpool last time out.
Yeah, going into that game, all the focus was on Jurgen Klopp, his first home game in the Premier League, so all the focus was there and all the cameras on him, and certainly Southampton, they sort of went under the radar going into that game. But I think the way Liverpool had been playing, Southampton might have fancied their chances there. Liverpool weren't exactly playing well under Klopp. They'd had a lot of draws, and I think Southampton certainly would have thought, we could get a win here. But the way the game went, a 1-1 draw, certainly not the worst result, leaves them 8th in the table, which is a solid start for them. But I think in the second half, the way they conceded the goal, I think you just have to give credit. It was a great cross in from the right, and Benteke, a fantastic header, it really was, right into the corner. And from then on, you thought that really might have lifted Anfield, and maybe Liverpool might have pushed on to get another one, but they couldn't do that. And in the end, it was Sadio Mane with that scrappy goal at the end. He was in the right position, stuck it away, but then the problem was he went and got himself sent off. And I think it certainly was the tackle. Looking back at it, it was a second bookable offence, but it was the dying seconds of the game, and maybe you thought the referee could have just. He shouldn't be letting him off, but it was right at the end there, and just to send him off, a bit of a blow for them. I mean, he's going to miss the League Cup match in midweek, so he will be available for this one. They're not going to miss him in the league, which is a bit of a plus, I guess. But the result itself, 1-1 draw at Anfield, I think Ronald Koeman would have definitely taken that.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, in 8th place now, and they'll be expecting to climb the table a bit now because they've got a good run of fixtures coming up. They've got 4 of the current bottom 7 in 4 of the next 5 Premier League games. There's Bournemouth at home, obviously this weekend. Sunderland away. We know how much Sunderland is struggling so far this season. Stoke at home, probably the toughest of the lot, and then Aston Villa at home as well. So they'll fancy quite a few points on that, and as they were expected to push for maybe a top 6, top 7 position, they're around there now, and with these good run of fixtures coming up, they'll be confident of getting a few more points under the belt, starting to put pressure on those European places, and certainly things are looking positive at the moment for Southampton, the position they're in.
Yeah, and I think they face Villa in the League Cup. Tonight we're filming this before then, but I think with the Arsenal and Chelsea going out, it's a real chance for them in the Cup, because Villa at home, they're without a manager at the moment. That's a real chance for them to win, progress to the quarterfinals of the League Cup. That would be a boost for them. And certainly at home, they've been pretty good. Their first home game of the season, they had that game to Everton where they lost 3-0. They were a bit out of sorts. Everton were very clinical in that game, but since then they've scored 10 in 4 at St Mary's. Since they've been scoring a lot of goals at St Mary's. We've talked in the past about how much better Pella is at home than he is away, and you talked about those fixtures coming up in 4 of the next 5. Bournemouth, Stoke and Villa all visit St Mary's in that time, and you'd have to say in all 3 of those games you'd back Southampton to win. So like you said, they should be able to climb the table. Their home form's better than their away form. A points going and getting points at places like Anfield will only help to sort of, and then if you can get the wins at home, like I said, that should really be the platform for them to sort of push to where they were last season, as sort of like a top 6 contender.
They're certainly big favourites for this one, because Bournemouth come into the match in pretty shocking form. They've earned plaudits for some of the ways they performed so far this season, but the last 2 games have been a bit of a disaster for them, conceding 10 goals over both of them, both 5-1 defeats. Last time out against Tottenham, Kane hat-trick, Dembele, Lamela. Kane hasn't been in the best form, so to concede a hat-trick to him would be disappointing, particularly as they made such a good start to the match with Matt Ritchie scoring the goal in the first minute. That would have buoyed them, really. I know Tottenham are in good form, unbeaten since the opening day of the season, the only team to have done that, but to have scored in the first minute and then go on and concede 5, really disappointing result for them. And as I mentioned, defensively, they were just shocking. Boruc, potentially at fault for it was 3 goals. He had a really poor game in goal for them, and Federiki's going to play in the League Cup at Liverpool tonight, and questions over whether he might come in the league as well, because Boruc, he is prone to those errors. He's made quite a few this season. He can be a good shot stopper at times, but you'd say he cost his side quite a few points, and he probably wasn't solely at fault. Eddie Howe after the match was quick to say the whole team didn't defend well enough. Boruc even said that himself, that the whole team will take the blame for the defeat, but he certainly cost his side 3 goals, and they would have, goal difference wise is definitely a blow for them, and just a heavy defeat, and they need to bounce back from that, really.
Absolutely. That's, like you said, 10 goals conceded in their last 2. It means they've got the joint worst defence in the league. They've conceded 22 in 10. That's a joint worst with Newcastle. And you look at we talked about their injury list a lot this season. A lot of their injuries are from players further forward. Wilson and Gradle are the 2 big ones. I mean, they did lose Mings, but he wasn't really playing, and certainly Distan doesn't seem to have been the best signing at the moment. And the problem was last season in the Championship, they were so good going forward, but if you were to say the weakest area of their game, it probably was the defence. They didn't have the best defence in the league, and they didn't really strengthen that area too much. I think Eddie Howe just thought that the players they got there, that he might be able to sort of push them into a Premier League standard. But the way it's been so far, especially in the last 2, I mean, Boruc was at fault, big time against Spurs, and then the City one, they just kind of just looked outclassed really against City. So you maybe could argue in favour of Bournemouth that, City and Spurs, the way, like you say, Spurs have been playing, Spurs are looking good recently. We know City, they're the league leaders at the moment, so you could argue that for a team like Bournemouth, you would never expect it to, beat City or even get a point against City or Spurs, but to lose 5-1 in both is really disappointing. One positive we've talked about the last couple of weeks, Harry Arter looks like he's on, right on the verge of returning. He might return this week, but they really do need him. He was superb for them in midfield last season. He just offers a different option in there. Real box-to-box player, gets stuck in the tackle, but very good at shooting from distance as well. So if he can come back soon, that'd be a boost, because we already know that they've lost Wilson, Gradle, and their season really has been, really potentially ruined by those injuries.
Which way do you see this weekend's match going?
Yeah, we've got to favour Southampton here. I think we talked about how much better they are at home, and Bournemouth. This is a really tough. It's a really tough run of fixtures for them. City, Spurs, and then Southampton. Really tough trio of games that. And Southampton, I don't think they'll blow Bournemouth away like the other two have, but it should be fairly comfortable. I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a 2-goal win for Southampton as well. Bournemouth, they're shipping goals a lot. As I said, I don't expect them to concede 5 like they did against City and Tottenham, but I can see Southampton helping themselves to a few goals. Pele perhaps getting in the race, so I'm going to go for 3-1 Southampton victory. So both go for fairly convincing Southampton wins. Thanks for joining us.